Hi everyone, this is Agulia. Today I'll be analyzing the games between AsianSensation and Tilted. Asian already posted those games on his YouTube, but I decided to go in more depth over the games and what could both players have done to improve their game and what actually went down in the game in a more serious note and more try-hard way of thinking. So, one of the things that people underestimate the most is actually the start of the game. It might sound long, it might sound just repetitive, but the start of the game basically defines the it defines how the game's gonna play out. It defines if the game's going to be a passive game, like if you're in Dread Balloon and you get 3 plants by around 10, it's a certain guaranteed BIA, right? If you're playing like offside, but both players go 1 plant and super high eco, it's gonna force a drain game, and it is completely certain that no player is going for their BIA. And it's also the point of the game where people figure out their enemy strategies, and try to figure out what their game plan is going to be. So here, Asian is coming out with a attack shooter. Coming out with a attack shooter, an anti-stall start. This means he's going to be aggressing. He's going to go aggro. He's not playing anything that is late game. He's just gonna. His goal in this game is to drain his enemy out of money, while he has a strategy that is more suited for this environment of having less money, and so being able to take advantage of that environment of having less money. And here he sees that Tilted is going dart, which is something that is very expected. Tilted is a very well known darts player and plays dart a lot of the time. He will rarely go for other strategies. Decided to go for the eco start, which is actually optimal when someone anti-stalls the first round, as you will not get a single banana on the first round. It is better to get eco. Also, at this point, we can see that Tilted does not have a plantation by round 6. This basically already means that BIA or passive will basically be over. There's almost no worth in passive at this point. You might as well try to go passive, but with some mixed eco, because coming into the later rounds is going to become very hard to continue farming while you only have low farms and also low eco. People are just going to catch up with that high eco, because around 21, around 23, around 25, even from around 18, rounds become so long that ecoing actually becomes almost more important than farms in some points, unless you have a big farm advantage. So here, Asian is just equaling the blacks, forcing defense at the same time as saving up a bit of money for that round 8 rush, forcing even more defense. Tilted still having got a farm advantage, while Asian has a $100 advantage. Here, Asian sees the wizard, which was unexpected because of how passive Tilted was, but at the same time, how can you blame him? Asian is going tag shooter, and this tag shooter spot is so goddamn good. You cannot rush it before round 8, and if you want to rush it round 8, you need to send a lot. So at this point, Tilted kind of, even if he wanted to mix eco, it wouldn't be effective. It sounds counter natural to actually eco, even though it actually works to eco. In this game, he's just continues farming, but at this point, Asian is already up farming. Although because of round 12, you will have to get a lot of defense, and this is what Asian is going to do. Because the tag shooter does not offer camel detection, he's just going to abuse that part. Asian coming out of lack of money for defending this rush will have to sell a farm, giving back the farm advantage to Tilted. But this rush was so massive that the Asian is actually here. He's gonna go for a counter, which is pretty smart. Instead of getting his farm, he's just gonna force the opponent to be in an even more drain game scenario. Although, in this scenario, you could argue both ways which strategy is better, but in this scenario, even with the tilted rush of round 11, Asian has more eco. So the more drain game it goes, the higher eco that Asian has, especially knowing that their farm advantage isn't that doesn't has a farm advantage, but it's not that big, and he's gonna have to force a lot of defense. He's gonna force a lot of defense too. Asian by this rush is gonna pull up his eco advantage even more, and he's just gonna allow him to get back to the advantage state, even though round 12 is a hard round for with tag shooter because of the lack of camel defense by that point. Here, Tilted was obviously trying to go for a spolt, couldn't afford it. He had to sell a farm, get those trips. Here, Asian said it in his video. When he saw those strip darts, what he wanted to do is boost the rush, while he was getting those trip darts to force the boost on top of forcing the defense. But as you can see, he sent the region lead, and the rush is just way too late. It's just way too late. It's not even worth sending the rest of the rush at this point. It was supposed to be layered, like kind of like a rush behind the darts already chasing the other rush, but the region lead takes so much time to send. It's insane. So what he could have done here is actually do the same thing. It would have been fine. Maybe even earlier do it, like sell his lightning like he did. He actually didn't need it. Tilted couldn't counter rush. He was in a very defensive state. He didn't have. He barely had enough money to defend his side. He could not counter it unless he sold his farm. And at this point, he has less eco and just loses the game straight on. So he could have just sent it, but as he said in his video, it was a joke, misplayed. But it was a good idea in the end. It would have actually worked. Asian here is really forcing this drain game scenario while having more eco, so he forced even more into this drain game scenario, knowing that he can survive and get on top of Dark Wiz in this scenario. Here, I think in this point of the game, he actually talks about how Wiz Tack is actually better late game. But at this point, the farms are so down that aggro actually still is a good strategy. Here, Tilted rushed, which completely does nothing because Asian has lightning. But for the previous rounds, he didn't have lightning. He got it before the round. And I think Tilted just didn't even see that Asian had the lightning. It's very important to have the game audio on so you can listen to when people upgrade their towers. It can mean so much. You can even know, like, if someone gets a 2-4 or 1-4 BIA. It can be hard to know, but you can determine that they get up upgrades like this just by having your audio on. It is a very underestimated part of the game, but it is also very important. So here the rush is gonna do absolutely nothing. Asian already had the lightning. He's gonna, and because Tilted rushed, he has no money to defend. It's round 16, layered with the lads. Very common rush. Here you can see Asian is. He can get his farm right now, and he has 100 eco advantage in same farms. Big advantage for Asian here. We could basically call the game over at this point. Asian basically wins. If he goes late game, if he continues draining, he wins the games anyway. Here the Moab Tilted has 4 trip darts. He doesn't have, like Asian said in his video, he doesn't have any tornado spots. So he would have to pick up a new spot for his tornado, so making him waste even more money on defending this mob, which barely cost him 24 eco, 1,500 when he already has 200 eco advantage. Big play. Asian Tilted, I mean, cannot counter. A Maelstrom and the mob is over. Rushing with a mob against Dash Shooter is so not worth it. They just Maelstrom it and it's gone. It's just gone. A well-timed Maelstrom and the mob is just gone. It's worthless. And so, well, Asian knew that Tilted couldn't rush him, so he decided to rush him instead. Here he sees that Tilted tries to greed, but he has no money, so he forced the boost. And Tilted, I don't think he needed actually this tornado. I think would have been fine just getting one more trip dart, which would have been more worth it, or just get the lightning and defend with that. Tornado was more of a safe play, but he could have improved on that part. I don't know if Battles TV is playing a part on this, but from our perspective, he could have definitely defended without the tornado. So here, round 20 is going to come out. Now, round 20 is an interesting moment for every all-strat games where someone's going dart and the other one is not going dart. Rushing dart with a BFB is so not worth it because of the simple fact that they can defend it with one single ability. Even though they make them sell farms and everything, it's one single ability. And buying and selling it makes you lose 1,500, I think, something like that. It's barely even worth it send it. And the worst part is that they lose so less because not only do you have to spend 2,500 sending that BFB, they have so much time to build up money to defend it because Super Monkey Fan Club is just so good, right? It's one of the best abilities in the game. No arguing this. Super Monkey Fan Club, one of the best abilities in the game, allows us to greed so much on these rounds, around 20, around 22 when ZMGs so they get extended and all that. Really amazing ability. So at this point of the game, sending a BFB that not only costs you 2,500 upfront, it also costs you 240 eco. Holy cow, 240 eco. Asian would just lose his advantage. Just look at it. He would actually be losing in money. He would actually be losing money sending this PFP because, well, Tilted's actually gonna defend it without much worries. While on the other side, Asian to defend a BFP will have to spam a lot of spares and 3 maelstroms from the videos that we've seen. He likes triple maelstrom. You can double maelstrom, but it means you also get more defense. I'm not really sure which one is the best right now, but this is the perspective right now. So Tilted has the possibility to send a BFP, while Asian does not. So here we can see Asian going region leads. He's not really worried about anything. Tilted here, rushing with a BFP. Now, he decided to actually send this BFP because he knew that Asian was going to win late game. There's no doubt in this. Late game, even the Wizard costs a lot, Infinity costs a lot. In a Drain game, where you have Maelstrom to clean up, versus Super Monkey Fan Club, which has limited pierce, well, Tag Shooters has infinite pierce, and round 32, having so many ceramics and blocking this pierce, Tag Shooter is gonna come out superior, even though Tag Shooter isn't as itself a good late game tower. It's just so much good cleanup for so cheap. It's Asian has an advantage at low farms late game. So here Tilted goes for the all-in. Sending this BFE basically means that he's forcing a complete Drain game, and he's gonna win it or lose it, and Asian is at a big advantage. Now, Asian sells the farms, he's gonna get more sprayers. He has 720 eco versus Tilted 260 eco. And now we're coming in round 21. Round 21 is so long. You're just gonna see how long it is. Just look at how many bananas Tilted is getting. These are plantation. They give 14 bananas around. Just look how slow it is. And Asian greeting with a boost, just to defend with cheaper. To defend cheaper to BFB. He has his eco, he's not really worried. Just look how, like, the bananas are not coming out. The bananas are not coming out. Most of the money you're gonna get this round in Drain games is coming out from eco. Even though you want to send blimps and all of that. Round 21 is so huge. Now here I think Asian did a mistake. Round 22 compared to round 21 and round 22, and as I said, like, eco is so important. But around 22 and 24, the rounds actually go back to being super short. You actually want to get your farms right before those rounds. Right before those rounds, you get your farms. You get your farms so you get the maximum value out of them, right? But at the same time, Tilted was under defending, so you had to sell a farm. I wouldn't defend round 22 otherwise because it is a short round, but it is also a round that requires a lot of defense. I think Asian should have greeted this with a Maelstrom and go for his farms while rushing a big greedy round, but would have just guaranteed a win. Even though his win is already guaranteed. Tilted has 2 plantations on long rounds and no eco. 0 eco. Asian literally could get more money than Tilted by just ecoing at this point. Straight up. It is insane how much eco has gone up in value since the farm nerf, because it is so much harder to greed higher farms for those rounds, which would make farm more worth it for those rounds, because farms at itself cost efficiently is more worth it. But if you just don't have enough to make it what I like to call a snowball effect, where the more money you get, the more money you will get. Right, this is how Bloons incomes works as a general purpose. Now here it goes for the leads again. Here I think, just look at it. He has 2 jugs and he has a fire wizards at the very beginning with lightning, right? Does it have lightning? Yeah, it does have lightning. Sending leads means that the lead layer that normally will block the pierce of the darts or the spots is completely worthless, because the darts won't even attack the lead layer. And while a ceramic costs 200 to send, you could also send a zebras for 220. And a zebras, it comes out into more balloons than a lead balloon. It goes faster. Whites are better. And zebras, I do believe they give more eco for money sent. So it is a more worth it rush. And the balloons are faster, and the balloons clopped up more the balloons. Now, you could layer with leads, but as I said, it has just so much lead popping power. Leads are just not worth it. It would have just been better sending zebras at this point. but doesn't really matter. Just look at the situation. Asian is just such as a big advantage. Now, Tilted, the way he decided to play the game, going passive, not going for any eco. Now, yeah, decides to send another BFB. This is just he was just hoping Tilted would Asian would choke it, but at this point it's just so hard to choke it. The BFB layer got demolished by the Spiriters because it was a low. Yeah, there basically wasn't anything to do there. It was just a last hope. Asian is just the game in the bag. We can just force forward this. As you can see by the timestamp, Tilted's gonna choke. He's gonna boost. Yeah, there's the regen farm. He decided to go for tornado regen farm boost, and then he decides to all-out counter, but it's not gonna do much when we don't have money. Also, Asian predicted the ceramics, the camel cerams, and decided to defend with fire breath instead of maelstroms. So yeah, GG's to Asian. I think from the start he had a big layout advantage for this map particularly. The attack spot for greeting early game is so good. People can, if you want to eco against tag shooter on this map, it's for ecoing. It's not for it's not for forcing pressure. It's actually for equaling for those rounds. And I think the fact that Tilted to force defense assist and BFBs were wasting so much eco, and that Asian had the late game advantage at that, it was just a layout disadvantage, and Asian knew how to play this. Asian here played actually very good. I don't have that much to say. He played this amazingly. Tilted, he tried his best. His layout made him go into worse situations, forcing him to take crucial decisions and putting him in a more hardcore place to take good decisions, actually win the game. He could also improve his game. We could all improve our games. There's many mistakes we do, but I think this was a very high gameplay game overall, even though Tilted clearly lost this match. So here, Tilted decided, he said to Asian, my losing maps are Offside and Dread. Asian decides to pick Dread Bloon. And as you can see here, let's just analyze the loadouts. DFA, Tilted, obviously was going to go DFA. He's a very amazing DFA player. He's an amazing dart player overall, especially when it comes to late game dart. He knows how to do his stuff. And then on the other side, you have Asian, which decided to go a little of a broken strategy that is called Heli Farm Ice. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's very broken. It's very broken for dribbling, especially. The map is just the way the map is made is just it does everything Heli Farm Ice wants it to do. Good ice spots. Long map for Heli to just follow the tracks. Good track layering for the Heli to snipe balloons at the on other tracks and just get more pierce out of it. A lot of farms places and a lot of Heli places for late game, so you can just spam Apaches, spam Apaches, spam Apaches, spam Apaches. Get so many Apaches to defend so late. But the other side, I mean, I don't see any strategies beating Heli Farm Ice on this map, because even with the farm nerf, you can't actually stop Heli Farm Ice from getting a BIA. Unless you send so much money into rushing that, even then, Heli Farm Ice doesn't follow regular rules. It can get around 17 BIA and it's fine. That's another thing that people forget, is that round 17 BIAs are fine. Here it goes for the ice art. Since the Heli nerf, not worth going on any map where you have to start with Heli. Not worth it. Ice art is actually way more worth it. So just basic start. Actually, Tilted decides to go late game. He's not rushing it. I mean, you can't really rush an ice round. Round 2. Here he doesn't instantly rush with Blinks, which I don't really understand. He wanted to get that plant, but that means Asian also gets his plants. Just gonna allow Heli to go late game. You're gonna just see in this game, there's something that's gonna repeat itself, and you're gonna see that is the reason why one of them lost the game. I think it's pretty obvious from the start. So Asian did say in this video that he wasn't a heli farm ice player, which is understandable. Not very common strategies nowadays, since the farm nerf and the heli nerf especially. It's very map locked. You really need to have a heli map to play it. Now Asian just gonna go passive. He knows about it. He knows heli farm ice late game is completely broken. Heli farm ice late game is just so good. Ice shards are just so good. Patch is so good, especially if you have the money for it. And you have a salt and all of that. You have everything you need for a late game. It is amazing. And it just goes passive. Well, on the other side, Tilted, same situation as the last game. Asian has all the defense. Asian doesn't really rush, decides to go passive. Now, let's talk about the matchup more, right? The FA late game, especially in the meta right now, where a lot of old late game strategies like Wiz Farm Village, Wiz Farm Chipper, Darkling Farm Ice, I don't know, Heli Farm Ace, Heli Farm Village, all of those, you cannot play them competitively anymore, because any good player, even if they're playing a passive strategy from the start, they will be able to drain you in this new meta, even with a passive strategy. Because the strategy that you're gonna go, so like let's say Wiz Farm Village, needs so much money that since the farm nerf, you're just not even gonna be able to get the money to defend in the first place, right? So they just aren't viable in the first place. So that makes actually Dart a lot better than it was before, because a lot of its late game counters are just gone, straight up gone. DFA late game actually is a very good strategy late game, and actually a meta strategy in my eyes for many maps. Not this one though. Way too long. Heli Farm Ice exists. Wiz Farm Ice exists. Darkling Farm Bomb exists. Although Darkling Farm Bomb it's a bit too long of a map for Darkling Farm Bomb. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's a bit too long for a Darkling Farm Bomb map. I'm gonna talk about Darkling Farm Bomb in other videos, especially since it is the strategy that I decided to main for at this point. They're just gonna do their basic stuff. All of it is passive. I really think here Tilted going passive, good decision for the start of the game, but I would have changed one thing: his spots. Here what happens is that he has what are essentially stalling spots. His start spots are going to stall the rounds. He's gonna make sure that he pops the balloons later than they should, because Dart doesn't like anti-stalling. Dart wants to get its farm, it wants to go late game because that's how it works, and it wants to get its BIA, and if it's anti-stalling, it's not really gonna get its BIA easily. It's gonna have to do a lot of sacrifices to get its BIA. Problem though, you're playing against Heli Farm Ice, and I'm just telling you, if you think that you can win against someone that has any idea what they're actually doing late game, against Heli Farm Ice with DFA, even with 12 Spectres, I'm sorry, dude, you won't win. You just won't. Heli Farm Ice will just stall you to death even if it cannot defend, and DFA has its limits. And well, you could have better micro and defend later. You need the money to get the GZs down, and the money to get those Spectres down, and you need also the money to rush and kill your enemy. You need all three of those things. You need to be able to spam those Spectres, send enough gems to kill your enemy in time before it's too late for you, and have the money for all your GCs, which is not essentially easy. That's why he's actually going passive here. He wants to get all of those things. Problem is, if you can reduce the amount of money you need to send, and if you can reduce the amount of money your enemy has, it means you have to send less CMGs to kill them, and you can send earlier rounds where DFA is better because of the GZ being so effective on balloons that have less ramping on them. Just making DFA better in those mid-high farm situations for late game, but a lot less effective in those really insanely high farm games, especially against stalling strategies like Heli Farm Ice. So here it just goes passive, like I said, which I really don't agree. You should have sent like big rushes, big rushers, get a lot of eco at the same time, send big rushes. Do not allow Asian to get his BIA, or if Asian gets his BIA, it is with struggle, right? Not allow him to get around 15 BIA. That is way too early. He's gonna get so much money out of it. There's other things I'm gonna have to talk about, but so far so good, right? Tilted could be sending zoom G's and stuff like that, or early rushes. Fine. Let's just say it passes, right? But I just think that the matchup is just impossible. If you pick Troll, which is the best heli farm ice players, he is the best heli farm ice player in the world right now. He would not lose on this map with heli farm ice. He just won't, unless he does an epic joke. He won't lose. It is meta. That I'm just gonna say it is meta. There's no winning against it. You can try to do things to sneak around and win, but overall, you will lose. Now here Asian goes for the what I'm gonna call the safe play, well, which is going for an Apache. Now, if you didn't know, you can defend the BFB without going for an Apache. It requires ice shards, a lot of heli razor rotors, and stuff like that. But you can defend without Apache, and unless you go really over defend, it will be cheaper than getting the Apache. So requiring you to not bank out if you like farmed and all of that. But Asian went for a safe play. I mean, how can you wrong him? Like he said, he's not really an heli farm ice players. I don't even think he knew he could defend without the Apache. So no blame on him. Completely normal play. Like I said, Tilted just going double BIA. They got their BIA so early. They need to go double BIA. Factories are not worth it at that point, because they can get those double BIAs before round 21. Completely worth it. The eco is going to be so good round 21, 123, and like I said, eco is so good on those rounds. Look how long these rounds are. Like, it's 1.5 minutes, I think? Something like that. I think one is 2 minutes. It's insanely long. Insanely long. Yeah. So, here, just fast forward. Might even get caught. We're going to go to late game. Here, they're just going to farm. They're just going to farm. There's nothing that's going to happen. Alright, we are back. Here's something interesting happens. Now, if you didn't know, with one Apache, you can, especially of Red Balloon, you can defend the AI until round 31 with one Apache. All of the AI rounds, you can defend it with one Apache. Unless your enemy sends something, one Apache is all you need for all the rounds until round 31. It is all you need. And, well, if you have the, like, correct targeting, like, if you just leave your heli here, it's might not gonna work as well. You're gonna see with all of the stacking. I mean, like, just looking at it, I think it's just Asian. Yeah, he has bad targeting and he was forced to get double Apache. You need to target well your Apaches. Targeting is so underrated, but yeah, I mean, he was in the corner, but I mean, he was trying to get farms. He is on mobile. It is harder to spam farms while being mobile. Now, it is getting to the late game, the part I've been talking about so long. And now, Asian, he knows something. This tower, this little tower that has barely been used apart from the early game and mid game to greed and all of that. This tower was nerfed and is still good. Because of one thing. Actually, two things. One, it has a rare ability that is to be able to slow bloons by 50%. 50%. I don't know if you realize that is half the time that you would normally need. You can make this map that is already super long twice as long in theory, because of the fact that the balloons go half the speed. So even though you would have only like 2 towers, but with a 50% slow, let's just say that, and you would have to spend money for that 50% slow, in itself, it would be, it could be meta in itself. Slows themselves are just so good, especially for late game. You're gonna see why later. But yeah, stalls are just so good. They give you more time to defend, and they give what happens that if you have more time to defend, it means that your enemy has to send bigger rushes to kill you. Well, has to send them later because you have more time to defend. you have more time. Now, if it's a constant rush, you're just gonna stall your death because it's constant, right? But we're not pulling bonanza here. We don't have a limited amount of money. So this means that it's forcing our enemy to send more, and wasting more of the money means they have less money for their side, which gives all stalling strategies a big advantage. And the other thing apart from stalling is the ice shards. Now I don't think if you know, but you should just look up on YouTube a few ice shards videos. I think Jaja did a few, you know, like Coiny, Troll did a few. Ice shards are really, really, really good. They've been nerfed, reason. Ice shards are just completely unfair. They just say, oh, we have a little bit of balloons and yeah, let's just make all of those balloons send out shards that also create shards and also create shards that all do damage. All of them. Basically, it's a multiplicative damage depending on how many balloons you have. And when there's ZMG's insides in the play, and you can slow those balloons down so that the ice shards don't miss the balloons inside, and they're just gonna ricochet on the mobs. You might underestimate it at first, but the more you play with them, the more you realize it's broken. And Asian knows it. He's going hard on those ice shards. He's going hard. He's going hard. He's going hard. And actually, that's what you need to do. Maybe not as many of them, but it is the second strong point of ice, and what will make you surprised if you do not have a lot of ice experience. It just defends so well. If you can get rid of the mob, the ZMG layer, the BFB layer, and then start the chain, because it's a chain. The ice should pop the inside because it does not pop anything above rainbows. It does not pop anything above rainbows. But it can create shards by ricocheting on them, though. So that's very interesting. So as you get those lower ranked balloons, ice shards will activate and create a chain where it will pop the upper layers behind the chain, as you will see here. It just pops, and then it does more damage to the ZMG layers, creating more balloons for the ice to be effective. Just completely insane. Now here, as you can see, Asian actually, what happens with heli is that you actually need to sell your farm start for heli spots, because, well, they both have almost the same hitbox. So you can put a bit more helis, but you need to sell your farms for those placements. Making heli one of the few towers where you actually have to sell your farms for spots, which is an inconvenience. It is an inconvenience. You have to sell for spots, but with how good Apaches are, it's completely worth it. And actually here, those are around 35 CMGs. Just think about it. If it was just heli, let's not even talk about the ice shards. If it was just heli and the ice shards, the mods would be at the end right now. But because of the stall, they're at the halfway. They're halfway. Look at Tilted here. He has so many specters. He has so much defense. Asian doesn't have his max defense yet. He's still getting up more defense. He has all 3 of his boosts. Here it's actually a Battle CV bug, I think. Something. Yeah, he just stalls. He just stalls. He has more boosts. He didn't even sell all his farms yet. He can just sell more farms, send more. He can just... What essentially... Oh, it's bugged. Alright, what essentially happens that it can just stall the rushes until their enemy cannot defend anymore. It makes stalls so amazingly good late game. Even if Tilted sold all his farms, used all of his micro, he would have lost even though he sent the rush at the same round as his enemy. Why? Because, well, Asian has ice. The balloons take two times more time to get to the end. So if both players die on the same, like, if, let's say, Asian dies at around 36 all out, right? But Tilted dies at around 37 all out. Well, because Asian can stall those CMGs and all of those mobs and all those balloons, it means that he probably won't even get killed before Tilted gets killed by the round 37 rushers this one round later. This is how good stallings are. It is incredible. The thing is, in this new meta where you can drain so much, it's actually hard to get maps or strategies that can actually use those stalls to their advantage. But one of those strategies, NFE, Digital Farm NG, which is currently the most broken strategy in the game. Everyone knows about it. It uses a stall. It just says how much stalls are good in this game, and when you can actually use a stall to your advantage, they become really broken. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video where I go more into details and competitive aspects and how they actually played their games. I hope this can help you guys improve on your game, look at your mistakes, see what you can improve from them, and yeah, I hope you like this analysis of those amazing game, top tier quality gameplay. Round 39 for DFA, that is very good. Round 39 DFA, even though it's dread, that is a very good round. Yeah, those are very good games to talk about. I have a lot of fun and enjoyment watching them overall. Well played to Asian for winning this match against Tilted. And yeah, see you guys next time.